So here's the other thing. In 1953, Lucy was married. Lucy, was married at the time, and she had what, two kids at that
Two or
time?
three,
The wild,
whatever.
would she care?
Lucy was very fertile,
Yeah, she would. Well, she
fertile
wouldn't.
French woman.
Yeah. So let me make my point here. So we know that a lot of the ladies that were with Elvis, right? The Linda Thompsons, the Joyce Bova, you know, uh, everybody that was around Elvis wanted pictures with him because first off, to prove they were with somebody famous, so they would feel bigger. That's part of it. Lucy, from everything we read, first off, wants to hide. She wants to shrink away. She doesn't want to get hurt, beaten up, beat to death. Or Elvis get beaten up, or killed, all that stuff. So there's no way she would want any pictures of evidence. And it's not like
Yep.
she was a disposable camera. You know,
Yeah.
those days there was bigger cameras. So 53 to 58, there's no need to have a picture. And I mean, she wouldn't try to have one. Then there was a 9-year gap until 1967. And it wasn't like Lucy was with Elvis every single day. I think she met with him 11 times or 12 times in the 24 years.
Thought it
First,
was seven,
well,
just 7 or 8.
yeah,
But
but
anyway,
you're not there to take a picture, not
yeah.
unless you use somebody and get money from somebody. And she already had a daughter. So if she wanted to get money, she would have gotten money through having the daughter. So there's no reason to take a picture like every other woman did with Elvis. They wanted to use Elvis for them, to prop them up,
Yes.
to make them bigger, to make them more popular, to make them more important, to give them more self-esteem.
She would have been horrified if there was a picture of her and Elvis, you know. That was totally fitting to her personality because I had trouble finding pictures of her just performing and in her shows and all that. She just was kind of camera shy, especially for a singer and an entertainer. That was kind of weird. But that fits, it fit her personality. That's why I say the readers, they can criticize her personality and all that. And she wasn't thinking. Someone in the comment section wanted to see her boarding pass and plane ticket to Memphis. And I'm like, you think she saved that?
You're not going to, and I talked to Desiree about this too. Hey, real quick, I'm going to turn this computer around and see if you can see. I just posted this video. That's a picture
Yeah.
I think many people or anybody's seen of Desiree. She sent that to me. I
Is
asked her,
that her? Is that a current picture?
no, that's her at 15.
Oh, her at 15.
So
Yeah.
I'm going to need to get your email address because that's the only reason I haven't forwarded you those emails. So you can message me your
You've
email.
been emailing me. How do you tell me that you send it on the link? That's why I'm here.
I'm tired. Sorry. You're right.
Yeah, you're having the Lucy in Memphis moments.
It's early.
You've had my email address for months. You got to send me those stories you
I'll,
promised.
I'll do it tonight. Yeah.
And you never sent me the song, the
I
#1 country song in 6 months.
I haven't. Well, it's not been six.
Lucy gave her Desiree. No, Elvis gave her Desiree. That's going to be on the charts. You
As
watch.
soon as I've already got. I should turn the computer around and show that it's ready to be pushed out and released. But until
Yeah.
I'm not going to send an individual file out because literally it could shut my channel down if it gets put anywhere else. If it gets put on Facebook somewhere, and that's why I probably shouldn't even put it on YouTube because people
Why?
have.
It's an individual. It's not an Elvis song.
Yeah, but the thing is, somebody can claim a copyright on it and say it's their song, and then all of a sudden I get a strike in my channel.
Oh, you're saying someone's going to steal it.
Could
You're
be.
worried about someone, not the Presley estate claiming like they're doing with the poem.
I looked
Like
into.
the rock star who did a song on the poem,
Yeah.
and he's yet to be able to release it. He was going to release it in conjunction with the movie about the Colonel, and then he's been stymied. I still got to contact him. Anyway, you guys are going through all that in your world about copyrights and fear, but yours is an individual song you wrote. It's like Walking in Memphis or
Yes.
Black Velvet.
But the problem is that anything that has a content ID somewhere else that they claim, they can go ahead and claim it's their intellectual property. It's a crazy kind of a thing. So for that, I just haven't sent out. I haven't emailed a file. Desiree doesn't have it either, by the way. She doesn't have the actual file yet. But when I get it pushed out and I make sure I'm protected on my channel, you guys will have your individual files and be able to listen to it, share
And
it around.
in your conversation with Desiree, did you talk about the rock star doing the
We did.
poem?
We did.
And what's the latest on that?
So that he spent quite a bit of money to do it, produced it, and that
Yeah.
copyright, he can't put it out. And what I told her, I said, look, I said, I'm starting to kind of get more ins in the Elvis world, talking to people, not just Billy Stanley, but guess who else I've talked to recently? And some folks are going to be mad at me about this on my
Like
channel.
me. I'm gonna be mad if they deny the story.
Well, once again, I mean, Billy can say what he wants because I have my own opinion. Everybody else has their opinion. We're not going to do a show about what he thinks about the story. We're going to talk about the faith of Elvis, his relationship with Elvis as a
Yeah.
child.
Maybe you shouldn't even bring it up.
But here's the other thing. You know, I'm probably going to have a series with Mike Stone.
Really? He's
Really,
still alive?
he's still alive, and there's some controversy going on with Mike right now because he wrote a book, but not just that. And I know people are going to be mad at me in the comments, but hear me out. It,
Wow.
I'm a big advocate of letting people tell their story and then us being able to say that's bull or it's truthful or maybe we got this wrong. You know, I told him, I said, look, I'm going to be upfront with you. I've said negative things about you. I don't like Priscilla at all. I've said a lot of negative stuff about Priscilla. So if we do some podcasts together, you know, we can't avoid the subject of Priscilla. You know, he might have an NDA for all I know, too, because Priscilla, whoever she was with, Marco Garibaldi, have you heard from that guy at all? He's still alive, but you can't find him. He's a ghost. So, but regardless, but I'm just saying that he just released a video, a preview of Elvis, Priscilla, and Lisa. It's 3 minutes long. It's a home video that Priscilla left behind somehow. And he contacted the estate. He contacted Priscilla. He contacted Rowley. Nobody would get back to him. The estate accused him of stealing it and then offered him $3,000. And he said yes, he put his fingers up at him, and now he's got it up for auction. But you know, I want to have honest conversations with people about who they are, like Billy Stanley, the fact that he got lumped in with his brothers David and Ricky, and his mom especially, Dee Stanley. Dee's the one that said that Elvis and Gladys had a relationship. She's the one that said it. Billy, I'll let him tell a story, but he was against it. He walked off. He wasn't a part of a lot of stuff, and he kind of disappeared from the scene for a while. But um, you know,
I
that's just
saw I saw reports that Mike Stone abused Lisa Marie in
Mike.
some ways.
It was Michael Edwards, the boyfriend after from 78 to 84. He even wrote in his own book that he had a infatuation with Lisa, a physical feeling for her. But Lisa
Which
in her
one? Michael Edwards
Mike,
or Mike Stone?
Michael Edwards, not Mike Stone.
Oh, he's the one that abused Lisa or something?
Allegedly, I got to say allegedly.
Oh, okay.
Lisa also accused him of it as well, from 10 years old all the way to 14. So
Wow. What a mess.
yeah, but no, Mike Stone was the person that Priscilla left Elvis for, left him. She'd already had relationships with other people, but she actually left and moved in with him. And he was a karate guy, one of the
Yeah.
best on the planet. He was most well respected, and they were together for 4 years. And he left his wife and child to go with Priscilla. Priscilla left Elvis, took Lisa. So
There you go.
I'm going to have a conversation with him if he wants to after what I just told him, which was, hey, first off, I've said some negative stuff about you, and I do not like Priscilla. Yeah, I
How
was
old is he now?
got to be 70ish, 75, maybe 80.
Wow. Probably in good shape if he kept up his martial arts.
Yeah,
It was he was really big into martial arts, but he didn't become Chuck Norris or anything. He didn't
nope.
have that career. He didn't spin off and using Priscilla to make
He
himself. Was he ever in any movies?
No, and I'll tell you why I want to have a conversation with him is because after the Priscilla thing, he kind of just went off. I think he went to the Philippines. He's been private. He's been quiet.
Yeah.
Taught students. I think that he could be partially misunderstood. Once again, I always point the finger at Priscilla, but he had his place in leaving his family at the time. Priscilla Presley, all that stuff. But I saw a podcast maybe a year and a half ago where he was talking, and he seemed down to earth. You know,
If he has a non-disclosure agreement, how'd he write a book?
he
What
probably does.
could he say? And what can he say in a podcast?
Yeah, I don't
And
know.
that doesn't make any sense.
He
What else is he going to write about but Priscilla and Elvis?
Well, and the thing is, his book I think says "My Life with Priscilla and Lisa." I think so. He probably
Oh,
about stuff. Um, but the
he
thing is,
probably doesn't have a non-disclosure if he wrote a book.
or it was for 25 years or 30 years or something.
Oh, I don't know if they have to, I don't know if non-disclosure agreements, I've signed a lot of them. I don't know if they have a time frame. I
I
don't
don't,
think any of mine ever had a time frame.
and I'm just guessing. Well, first off, he's been pretty quiet, but the whole thing with Marco Garibaldi, I'm almost positive he has an NDA. The guy that she was married to, but not really married for 26 years.
Yeah.
You know,
I never even heard of him.
oh, you're kidding. So Priscilla
He's
was.
Italian. Is he Italian?
Oh no, he pretended to be a movie maker to get in with Priscilla. It's a long, crazy story, but he sided
Yeah.
he sided with Lisa Marie Presley and said, "I will testify against your mother for you," because Priscilla was taking $900,000. Her and the other what do they call it? The heads of the estate, uh, Barry Siegel, I think his name was. They were both taking money from Lisa, but Priscilla was getting paid $900,000, and Lisa was not aware of it. Every year, 900,000 every year for doing nothing. He found out, and he said, "Hey, I'll testify against Barry and your mother if you want me to." And that's the last we've kind of heard of him. So
Wow.
it's been about 10 years.
Hey, he's Italian guy like me, so.
He's Brazilian. He's
Oh,
Navarone.
he's
He's Navarone's father. Lisa's
Navarone.
Navarone is Priscilla's son.
Oh, Priscilla had another son? See, I didn't follow much. Okay, they had another child.
Yeah,
And he's what'd you say, Brazilian?
something Brazilian or something. I don't know. Some
A lot of Italians are in South America, so he could still be Italian.
could be.
Because Argentina is almost Little Italy. There are tons of Italians in Argentina. After the war, a lot of them escaped, like the Germans,
Hmm.
that were on the wrong side. I know Italy switched. Boy, we're getting off the subject, but we
We
haven't even dealt much with Lucy and Diane and Memphis. I guess we covered it
we'll
in
now
the
we'll talk
beginning.
more next time. But I got something else to share with you that I know you're going to be interested in. So prior to talk, I just shared this on the video that I just put out. Um, Prior to talking to Desiree, my wife and I were having a day out together. Okay, we went Christmas shopping, went out to eat. We went up into Nashville. We're coming back, picking the boys up food from a couple Chinese places. Okay, I always have my phone set for directions home so I can avoid traffic. I hate traffic, hate it.
Me
Like
too. Me too.
all of a
I'm
sudden,
with you.
we pull out of Panda Express and Fulins, and we're heading home, and my phone reroutes. So I'm thinking, okay, I look at it, thinking, okay, there must be traffic ahead. It's going to take me to the interstate and get around it. It reroutes and it tries to take me to Guadalajara, Mexico.
Why?
I'm going to explain this. So it says Guadalajara and it says 23 hours and 23 minutes. And I said, hey, babe, look at this. My phone's trying to take us to Mexico. And then I went, Guadalajara, Guadalajara. The Elvis song. I said, maybe
Yeah.
I'm going to go to Mexico and I was joking around. And I screenshotted it for some reason. And it was 4:40 p.m. My phone call with Desiree is at 6. I get on the phone with Desiree and we start talking. We're maybe 30, 40 minutes in. She shares something very personal that I cannot share in this channel. Okay. Something that has to do with her husband. And she mentions Guadalajara.
Wow.
And I said, Desiree, you're never going to believe this. I said, I'm going to send you something. So I sent her the screenshot. I said, look at that time. It's 4:40 p.m. Right now it's 6:30 or 6:45, whatever it was. And I said, I think your husband's trying to send you a message from beyond because I'm in Tennessee, 15 minutes away from home. My GPS is set to my home address, and it reroutes me to Guadalajara, Mexico. And you just talked about it. And this is a place that you're sharing a lot of pain about right now. So,
Wow.
and it just blew my mind. And here's the other thing. About 10 o'clock at night, I go down and I'm talking to my teenage son. I said, hey, this is what just happened. I'm sharing it with him. And he goes, road trip. And I said, he said, where was it taking you? Did it have an address? Maybe that can help her. And so I said, I don't know. Let me go look at maps. So I look at maps. It saves your history in maps in iPhone.
Wow.
Right? And it's there. And I click on it. And I'm scrolling through. And the first thing I notice is that the path it's taken me is Tennessee here, where I live, to Memphis, where Elvis lived, to Dallas,
Where Lucy lived. Yeah.
Desiree, and
Wow.
Guadalajara, and I'm scrolling in further, and then it had a little town or a little something outside. It says El Torre, Mexico, and so there wasn't an actual address. But I sent that to Desiree. I said, I don't know if this means anything to you, but how in the world does that happen? It's not like we just ate Mexican food. We picked up from a drive-through. We actually went to a drive-through for Fulens, which is Asian food, and then Panda Express. We weren't at any Mexican restaurants early. We weren't talking about Mexico. The phone rerouted itself, and I had the presence of mind to show my wife and then screenshot it because I thought it was weird and it's kind of funny.
So obviously you got to go there.
Well, that's what my son said. He said, road trip, you know.
Yeah, you got to go and find out. That's like an X-Files episode. You got to go and find out what's waiting for you in Guadalajara.
Well, I don't think it has to do with me. I think it has to do with something that Desiree has a question about her husband who passed away.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
Well, but they want you to find it out,
Maybe
to
she
tell
she
her.
texted
Did
me.
you guys sit down in a restaurant and eat?
No,
Oh, you just did takeout?
we did. We were in Nashville earlier, and then we picked up food for our boys at Panda Express and Fulins, which is an Asian place. We just picked
Two?
it up,
Two
and I get
different places?
two places, and I get on the road.
Yeah.
And it reroutes. It says rerouting, and
Yeah, I know.
so it changed my destination of my
Was
home
it your phone or the car?
on my phone. It changed it from 17
Right.
miles away, which is where my house was, to
Yeah,
Guadalajara, which was a 23-hour and 23-minute drive
I know. That's weird.
with no prompting.
Did her husband have a connection to
That,
Guadalajara? That's what you're not saying?
yeah, but she was sharing something that was very painful.
Yeah,
And she,
remember, I knew him very well.
yes, and she mentioned Guadalajara as this is a
Wow.
important location,
Yeah,
but
what a coincidence.
and
Wow.
oh my God, I
Ask
mean,
you another thing. Why, if you're going for takeout, why two different places?
because my son Tucker, my older son wanted Panda Express, and my son Weston, who is 9 years old, he wanted noodles with teriyaki sauce.
And they don't have that at Panda Express?
My 9-year old is picky.
So
He's
you
very,
went to two takeouts. Wow, you're a good dad. I
I
would
try.
have said, you're going to one, they got noodles at Panda Express. Wow, you're a good father. That intrigued me. The reason I asked if you sat down, I was going to ask if your wife reached over to touch your hand and her bracelet fell again.
Oh,
Remember
that's,
how that intrigued me in your beautiful song about the wine in the video? Uh, That still is in my head. Little moments like that as an author and a writer, I focus on. But yeah, that was something. So you went to two different places for your kids. Wow, and they're not girls either, they're boys.
yep.
Boys are usually eat dog food and want to go back outside and play. The girls are the picky ones.
Both our boys have been the pickiest eaters ever. They both,
Wow. But they live, you
yeah.
know, when my son was born and we're worried about eating and not eating, some veteran parents will say, they live, don't worry about it. You think they're not eating, but they survive. No kid has ever just starved on its own. So if they're not eating the Brussels sprouts or the broccoli, they're going to live. They'll survive.
And I think I told you I have five boys. One passed away at 44 days old a few years ago, about five, six.
Uh,
Kristen almost died twice on operating.
Oh,
So that's a story.
wow.
My oldest son is 27. He's got a teaching degree. He taught school from the time he was 18 years old. He had college courses, so he taught, substituted,
Wow.
special ed. Now he's a blackjack dealer. He collects Pokemon cards, $200,000 worth of Pokemon cards in safes.
Wow.
My
My
tw-
son's got a lot too.
yeah, my 22 year
Shouldn't
old.
say that. Wow.
I know
You
my
know they're stealing them.
oh he's got it safe. He's got it all different places and stuff.
Yeah.
My 20
Wow.
the bodybuilder. He's got a YouTube and a TikTok page. Uh, great.
Any of them in music? None of them followed your footsteps?
I never pushed any of them to, but my 27-year-old can play ukulele. My 22-year-old can play bass and guitar, and he can sing a little bit. My 17-year-old used to sing on stage with us, but he forsook music because the attention was too much as a kid. Like he would sing with us, people would give him $20 bills, $100 bills. He liked them,
Wow.
but he didn't like the attention. My nine
Wow.
my 9-year-old is writing lyrics and writing little rap songs and stuff. But he's got musical ability. But I'm not going to push any of my kids in any certain direction, and that could be a mistake. It might not be, but I don't want me to be the reason they hate something or love something. I want them to find their own path.
So many kids followed their father, especially in entertainment. All the actors, three generations of Hollywood actors and singers, and especially athletes. Half
Dary,
the NBA has got
yeah,
fathers that were in the NBA and
that's
Major
because
League Baseball sons. So, I don't think there's anything wrong if he wants to be into music. So your youngest is the Donny Osmond, Michael Jackson of the family, right?
he may be.
Always the youngest.
He's got YouTube channels with 2,500 subscribers. My 9-year-old.
Oh, and singing?
No, just doing skits with his neighbor friends, and I've been teaching him the YouTube stuff.
Oh, a
How.
9-year-old. Wow.
But he's
No
9.
comment, no comments, right? They shut off the comment section.
Comments.
Yeah, they do that with kids. I have someone I know whose kids is into bugs and he does a little bug show. And I wanted to give him some props, but the comment section shut off because they don't want the pedophiles.
Well, in the beginning it was shut off, but now I've got it moderated, so I can review the comments because some of the people on Rare Elvis Photos here have subscribed to his channel, and they say, "Oh, that's
Oh,
fun."
he has a comment section because you monitor it?
Yes,
Wow, okay. Because I know the kids and the people who tell me their kids have one. It's a big thing with kids, but no comments.
yeah.
So when you
That,
you
that,
know why.
that's YouTube TV. That's YouTube Kids, the section of it. I've got them on one of my accounts. But the thing is, I'm just teaching them, hey, put out content. He's got content about our cats. We've got 9 cats, Dary. 9 cats
Not
and a dog.
who
Um,
has 9 cats?
we have 9 cats and a dog.
You have 9 cats. Wow.
9
My
cats.
sister, my sister has 21 cats.
Oh my!
My
Yeah,
sister Marion has 21 cats. She
that's
got
a
a
lot.
new one Halloween, followed a kid, a little kitten followed a kid to her door. She had 20, now she has 21. Man, so you live with 9 cats. Wow.
It's a
They're spiritual creatures. They're like witchy and freaky. And do you have a doggy door? Do
we
you
have a
let them roam at night?
so here's what we have a doggy door, but we haven't had our dog use it since we got the cats because they'll try to follow them outside. They're inside cats. Now I built a door through our window that goes under our back porch, and they've got a 12 by 20 palace outside to go potty in and to jump sniff out the windows, but they don't go outside because my wife doesn't want them to get run over, or so they're all stay
Ah,
indoors.
wow.
It's interesting. I've never had a cat before a year and a half ago. I always had dogs. I had wolves. We raised
Why do
wolves.
you have so many?
Well, my wife lost our little one. We lost our child, our youngest. And
Yeah.
but almost on the anniversary of Anson's death, a cat showed up. And my wife was like, "Here, kitty, 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 kitty." And the kitty came down and we fed her, and then we got her to come inside the house. And in a way, it was a little bit of an emotional replacement for,
Yeah, I get it.
and then
Is the cat the spirit? Was it a young cat?
tragically, she died.
The cat?
She had feline leukemia, and we didn't know it.
Oh, wow.
So we have a she's buried in the backyard. I buried her grave. We put a headstone, all this stuff. But after that, we kept getting cats and more cats, and our son wanted a cat, and then my wife wanted this cat, and then I show up and there's a cute little cat with the cat we're getting. I'm like, we can't leave that cat because they're together, they're cuddling. So we took those two cats, and then my son wanted another cat that was orange, and but that cat had a sister. So I thought we can't leave the sister, and then all of a sudden,
Man,
9 damn cats.
you're going to end up with 21. You're going to beat my sister and have 25?
We're done.
Yeah, that's what you said at 5 or probably 4, right?
Oh, here's the other thing. Our last cat, our neighbor said, "Hey, there's a little kitten that's in a tree in back, and she keeps crawling under her fence. She's like this small, like the size of my head, a little baby kitten." And so
Yeah.
orders these traps on Amazon to trap game. And so we sit it out back there. And she said, "We're just gonna trap it, get her fixed, and we'll rehome her. We won't take her in because we got too many." You know who's still with us? That little cat.
Of
So
course. Hey, getting back to this, did Elvis have any pets? Did he ever have a dog or a cat?
yes, he had dogs. He had horses, of course. He had a chimpanzee.
Like Michael Jackson and
Yeah,
Elvis both had chimpanzees?
Jackson had one like Elvis because Michael copied everything Elvis did. You
I
know,
don't remember anything about Elvis having a dog. You
so
know the
Elvis
name of the dog?
Elvis get
Anybody know the name? The commenters, Elvis's dogs? What kind of dogs did he prefer?
we're gonna let them comment on that. There,
Did he have a species he preferred?
he had a Great Dane for one.
Wow, big dog.
But he had another dog that he gave away. I forgot to because something happened, like it peed all over the place or was peeing all over his feet. I can't remember what it was. He gave Priscilla a little dog, uh,
Ah,
but he had a chimpanzee named Scatter. It's a tragic story what happened, and I've shared it on my channel before. But basically, this chimpanzee loved Elvis, and he would smoke cigars, he would drink bourbon, and he would lift up the girls' skirts when they came in the room, slap
wow.
all that stuff.
Did he get trained to do that? Did Elvis turn? Elvis must have thought it was hilarious.
He was a TV personality that got adopted out to Elvis, and then Elvis was doing his movies, and he was in Beverly Hills, and they brought Scatter to Beverly Hills, and he escaped, and he went over in the pool and started assaulting the neighbors, all the girls, trying to pull their bikinis off, stuff like that, and so they
Wow.
sent him back.
Well trained chimp.
They sent him back to Graceland, and then mysteriously Scatter died within about a week. I think he was poisoned or something happened because they
Yeah.
deal with him there at Graceland, and Elvis was heartbroken about it.
Wow. What was Michael Jackson's
I don't know.
chimp's name? Bubbles? I think it was
Oh,
Bubbles. I
maybe.
don't know why that popped in my head.
Yeah, I got a
I think
computer.
his chimp. Isn't that something? Did Lisa Marie know the chimp?
Uh, no, that was not. I think it was 67 or 68 when this all happened. So it was right before Priscilla gave birth.
Oh. Well, isn't that ironic that Elvis had a chimp and Michael Jackson had a chimp? I
Yeah,
don't know what.
Bubbles. That's it. You're right.
I was right. Well, I don't know where that popped in. All this stuff I have in my head, Bubbles, the chimp. And then Ronald Reagan made a movie with a chimp, the president. Remember Ronald
You
Reagan?
know that
One
one.
of his biggest movies was Ronald Reagan and a chimp. What
Hmm.
was the name of that movie?
That was
The
that wasn't about.
commenters will know. So the president, the king, and what did Michael Jackson? He was the king of pop.
Mm-hmm.
Elvis was the king, Michael was the king of pop, and Reagan was the president. They all had chimps, or he made a movie with the chimp. I think
And
he made,
Mike Tyson had tigers.
yeah, it was in that movie, the Hangover movie.
He had
They
tigers.
had,
He
yeah,
lived.
the f famous line, there was a baby and a tiger in the same room. Remember from that movie? Somehow there was a baby and a tiger, and they're screaming, "You got a tiger and a baby in the same room?" It was just that crazy movie. Boy, we're getting off the subject. But we're in chimps. I didn't know that about Elvis. I guess that's not, he must have never told Lucy about his chimp, unless Lucy left that out and didn't tell me losing
Well,
his chimp. But 9 cats, wow.
and I want to point something out to everybody listening to this. First off, you're not a
You're a
huge
cat dude, not a
no,
cat lady, a cat dude.
you were not an Elvis fan. You were not an Elvis expert.
No,
Everything about this when you wrote the book, and that's what a lot of naysayers say. That, oh, he knew about it and he read about it in all these other books
no.
and put this story together and made all of this up. That's what some of the naysayers say. But
Yeah,
here we are talking about stuff that in the Elvis world is very well known. The whole chimpanzee. Oh,
yeah, I didn't know.
Priscilla Presley leaving Elvis for Mike Stone. You had no clue who Mike Stone was, kind of, you
No,
know.
I knew that part. I
But
knew she had left him, but I thought he was Elvis's karate instructor. That's all I knew.
yeah,
And
he
he
was.
was this tall, he was this strong, menacing guy with an afro. I remember Goldman's book saying he was so macho. He was everything Elvis wasn't. Goldman was ripping and saying that he was virile and strong, and Elvis wasn't because he was ripping and tearing on Elvis through the whole book. But
Yeah, yeah. I have to
I
look. I have
I
to
didn't
look.
know Mike Stone was alive or in. No, I had never read a Elvis. I had never read an Elvis book before Are You Lonesome Tonight? And I started researching. But I did have one of his albums. I think Elvis in Vegas.
Okay.
I don't have a lot. I only had like 5, 10 albums in my whole life. Elvis, Tom Jones, Barbara Streisand's with Barry Gibb, just Barry Manilow. That was all I ever had. I always taped everything off the radio on a cassette tape.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I didn't do all this right. People thinking I researched Elvis enough to know, you know,
Was it this
Elvis in Vegas.
Elvis in person in an International Hotel?
Yeah, I think that's it. That's the cover.
Yep.
That's the one I had. The only album, one of the few albums I ever have. The back is different, I think,
It's
but the
Elvis.
front. The front is it was his Suspicious Minds and In the Ghetto Days.
Yep. So
Elvis Vegas.
when you
I
mention
might
Albert,
still have it.
when you mention Albert Goldman, I got a bunch of Elvis books in recently, and of course you have to buy bundles sometimes of a bunch of different books. So you mentioned Albert Goldman. This is my bonfire starting fires in my backyard. Is Elvis and me and Albert Goldman's Elvis. So I'm going to be
Yeah.
tearing pages out to light the kindling in the backyard for a bonfires this winter out of these two books.
And Albert Goldman wrote in his book about Elvis having a secret love in Louisiana. He wrote that, and I was going to use it, and he got wind of it and stopped me from using it.
Huh. I didn't
But
know that.
he writes in his book that Elvis had a secret love in Louisiana.
Oh, hey,
There
that's
you go.
now I'm going to read the
I don't
book.
know why he didn't let me use it. Albert? He was a prick.
So here's something too. You and I, we like to talk to each other, and we like to talk a lot, both of us. We do. Um,
Yeah.
so I'm gonna look for that. But I read something. I'm gonna go back to the whole Billy Stanley thing. You know how people say Elvis didn't have any money, that he never carried cash?
Yeah.
Billy Stanley, in his own book or some other book, told a story, and I'll tell that story later on. But in the story, it mentioned that he had this case full of stuff, and it was medication and a few other things. But it had $10,000 cash in there at all times. $10,000 cash. So Elvis had money on
Yeah,
him.
he always had money.
So,
Even Burke said claimed he gave Lucy $1,000 bill in Las Vegas. That crazy.
I know that's the crazy part. He
That
just put,
never happened. Who has $1,000 bill?
well,
Did Elvis have $1,000 bills?
I had five of them.
You had 5 of
I had
them?
five of them in 1986 or 87
I
when I was
thought you were living in your car and were homeless.
only 12 at the time. Okay. But somebody came out and bought a car from my mom and dad. It was a some sort of a Torino, a Ford Torino with a 427, the last one made, and it was wrecked and worth about $15,000. But he gave us five $1,000 bills. So I had five $1,000 bills in my hand as a kid. So I saw $1,000 bills. But regardless, In
What
your
do you
book,
do? You go to the five and dime to buy 10 cents worth of BBs and you give the cashier $1,000. How do they make change out of that?
I don't know, but
What'd you do with them?
no, it wasn't me. It was my parents. I got to hold the $1,000 bills though.
You put them in the bank?
I'm sure they did, or they did something. I don't know. Once again, my dad, he.
Who's on it? Do you remember who's pictured on it? Who's
Oh,
pictured on the $1,000 bill?
I'm gonna look it up right now. It wasn't. I don't know. I was 12.
I think Michael Franzese, my mafia buddy, who had billions from the gas scams. I don't think he ever had 1,000. He was big on the hundreds. The
It was.
mafia liked those $100 bills.
Oh,
Who's on $1,000? One of the commenters will tell us
that's true. We
who's
we did let
pictures.
some guy I don't recognize. So you'll have to tell me who it is. I can't zoom in good enough to see the name.
I might not know. How would I know? Someone commenter will tell us, or you
I
can Google. Take
you,
2 seconds, but
I'm not gonna do it though. That way they can do it, right?
yeah, it'll be in the comment. The people are good with that. Every question I've been asking, movies, scenes, people answer and tell us. They know. I mean, we got the whole world. This video goes out to the whole world, so people know everything. They
Yeah.
found the Are You Lonesome Tonight? Now,
Yes.
oh, that's something I wanted to ask you.
I,
They edited that out of some of the movie. This
yeah.
is Elvis. I think that's the one I saw
It
where
is.
he's
They edited,
crying and said, I was and I am
Are you lonesome tonight? I am, and I was.
lonesome.
and I'm gonna put that right here on this video. The part where
Yes.
I'm not gonna put where he's singing it because that's a copyright thing, but I can add that snippet. So Dary was right. The folks that in the comments said it never existed, it doesn't exist. Dary was correct. He says, he goes, I am and I was, or I was and I am. And then he's,
Yeah.
are you lonesome tonight? Real beautiful.
And
And
then he cries.
well, a lot of people say first off he was sweating profusely, but perhaps he cried too because there was right here, and you can imagine he was an emotional guy. Why would
Yeah. At that point in his life, when his life was coming to an end and he was all sad, plus the tear came right out of the middle of his eye. I remember studying it with the editor, with one of the editors on the book, and we're watching it, and she's going, "Oh, that's a tear. That's not sweat. That's an absolute tear." The way his eyes welled up, and it came right out of the middle of his eye down his cheek, and they did a close up of it. So whoever editing that movie really wanted to emphasize that he was in anguish and he
you
was
know
crying.
but every
Why
but
did they edit it out of other copies, though?
yeah, what they were trying to say was that he was lonesome because he didn't have Priscilla. That's the whole
Yeah, that wasn't it.
early estate. Everything always pointed to Elvis loved Priscilla. But the
Yeah,
point I was trying to make too is besides the I am or I was and I am statement, he sang it. He gets to the spoken part, and Elvis fumbles the words, starts joking, starts laughing,
right.
or like when you're nervous, when you're emotional, when you've just been crying or singing your heart out, sometimes you lose focus because you start thinking about something. So he obviously lost focus, messed the lyrics up with the spoken part, talked about now I'm standing there without any hair. You know,
Right, yeah.
um,
He's making a joke.
yeah.
Yeah, that's normal for performers. He made a joke about it's probably hard to learn spoken parts in the middle
No,
of a song.
Elvis had a phenomenal memory. I think
Yeah,
he got emotionally involved in remembering or thinking about Lucy. And the fact that it's June. He's been trying to call her, according to the book. He's been trying to call her. She's been ignoring him because she's mad at him.
yeah,
And so he's probably given her a little sign, singing this.
right.
I was and I am. You know, and then of course he loses track of it, messes up, has to joke to try to make up for it because he's a professional. And
Yeah.
I just think I'm glad I could find that because I was looking everywhere for it, and it's still out there on the internet.
Do you know that spoken part? Can you
Yeah,
do it right now?
let me see. I wonder if you're lonesome tonight. Someone once said the world's a stage and each must play a part. Fate had me playing in love with you as my sweetheart. Act one was when we met. You read your lines so cleverly and never missed a cue. Then came Act two. You seemed to change. You acted strange, and why I've never known. Honey, you lied when you said you loved me, and I had no cause to doubt you. But I'd rather go on hearing your lies than to go on living without you. Now the stage is bare, and I'm standing there with emptiness all around. And if you won't come back to me, then they can bring the curtain down. So,
Wow, that was beautiful. I
and
had a feeling you knew. Did you see a flash behind me? You
no,
were thinking. When you look at the video, there was a light flash behind me as you were doing that.
really.
Something flashed behind me. Where's my Gatorade?
And
Wow.
I'll tell you what, I've never sang the song live. Just so you know, I've never sang it at a show. I've heard it sparingly. I sang it the other night for you and for Lucy and Desiree. But for me, I know Elvis knew those words. Elvis sang that song a bunch of times. He is a consummate professional. When you do 30, 40, 50 takes of a song when you're recording like he did, you remember those songs. So there was like so he didn't forget it. He just got emotionally, in my
Right. How
emotionally.
do you know it so well? You
I
have a good mind for songs?
I was
Somehow I knew you were going to do somehow I knew you knew that. Isn't that something?
when
Who knows that?
you asked me, I thought I think I can do it, but I might mess up. But when I was
You
17,
did it perfectly and brilliantly. Man,
thank you.
wow. That's touching. And Elvis liked it because he flashed behind me.
My boy. He must have came through me a little bit there. I had to sing a little bit.
Yeah. What of that flash? You got to rewind and see that flash, whatever that was.
I will. Hey, you
Elvis liked that.
see my shirt?
Yeah. Is that
My
one of his, is that, well, he had the famous gold lame.
I got one of these too. I got a gold one too. But my wife was joking. She said, "You look like you're ready to go to a quinceanera." But I bought
Yeah.
it is
And
a
I know what that is because I'm in Arizona. They're
yeah.
big. I live on a lake on a waterfall, and they're always taking pictures by the waterfall behind my house. The quinceañeras come all the time and they take their photos. You
Mhm.
see these women and these young 15-year-old Hispanic women in these beautiful dresses, huge ballroom gowns, way frilled out, and they're in my backyard taking the pictures. Well, across the lake, but yeah. Wow, that was emotional. That was touching. I remember those lyrics too. They're very apropos to the story. That's why we used the book title. Obviously, that's why he's crying and he's saying, and he's trying to say those words. And it rhymes about his hair
And
because
the
it's
only
the part where he says, I'm standing there, and then he says
with
something about his hair.
yeah.
Yeah. And that was near the end. So he did it okay up until that point. Then it got to him.
No, he messed it up almost immediately. He's like, I wonder if you're
Oh,
like someone once said the blah 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 blah. And like literally that's he right after singing it and singing those words and the profound words that he was feeling, singing with all of his heart and soul, he messed up the spoken part because he was emotional, probably.
yeah. Wonder why they cut it out of some of the later versions of that movie.
I don't know why either.
Maybe
I,
because of the book. Maybe someone knew that it was the title of the book, so they cut the song out.
well,
Priscilla probably said, cut that song out.
no, because this is 1981. This is Elvis was released in 81. Now maybe it was in the original cut of it. Maybe
Oh, it
maybe the
was in the original. It's the one I have.
okay then it's in the original. Maybe it was cut out later. Yeah.
Yeah, it had to be cut out if people are looking for it. It should be online. Isn't it on YouTube, him singing that? Everything's on YouTube. Maybe they shut it down.
No, I found it on YouTube, but for every version of that, there's about 30 versions of it where it's cut out. So you have to really look and dig deep and find it and listen to all of it.
Yeah,
But
they did it so naysayers can call me a liar again. Oh, that doesn't exist. There's no Are You Lonesome. He didn't cry. It's not in the movie. And I'm like, I got the video of the early movie, and it is in there. It's a big giant moment in that movie. It's super emotional.
And here's another thing to think about. Elvis Presley was filming a TV performance thing that had a contract for. So he's going to put out these songs to the world for, that might be another comeback sort of a thing. Parker had set it up for him to have this. And so they were filming all these June 19th, June 21st, all these shows. The fact that he chose Are You Lonesome Tonight is peculiar because first off, it sets the tone and the mood for where he was at in his life. He was lonesome. He's
Yeah.
supposedly engaged and happy, engaged to Ginger Alden, right? Gonna get
Yeah.
married supposedly. He was not happy.
Lucy clone, but she wasn't Lucy. When you try to clone people, I understand. I'm a very visual guy, and you try to clone, you lose one woman and you want another one like her, but the next one's not like her, even if it looks like her. She's a whole different personality, and it's different and it's not the same. So Elvis was always trying to clone Lucy, and they weren't Lucy. Lucy was a very unique individual and very devoted and very loving to him. You see it in her angst when he died and all that, and all she had done. And then people say, why didn't they tell her why he died? He died. He was only 42. She had time. She was
Yeah.
waiting for Desiree to mature and to be able to handle it. You're not going to tell a 10-year-old you're Elvis Presley's daughter. That could change her whole life. So she was waiting, but she never expected him to die. Nobody expected him to die at 42.
Well, here's the other thing to give Lucy somewhat of an excuse. Elvis Presley, even though he said every single time, don't worry about it, baby. These are just publicity photos. These women mean nothing.
Yeah.
This girl with a rocking body that's the best looking woman at the time, Linda Thompson, is just my nurse.
Yeah.
So
The funny line. And then Lucy said she doesn't look like a
right,
nurse, Elvis.
funny
What
as
a
can.
great woman line.
But why would she why would she pour her heart out and say you have a daughter? Because if he wanted her, she wanted him to want her for her, a 40-year-old,
Yeah.
not because of a daughter. So that's the other thing too. All of a sudden he calls her and says, I'm going to make changes. I'm going to get rid of my manager. You're going to be with me. We're going to be together. And so that would have been the perfect time, but it wouldn't have been the perfect time to bring up Desiree. Maybe that's why she was talking about maybe hinting, I've got a surprise for you. And he asked, what's your daughter's name? Desiree.
Right.
And so she was trying to give him those hints enough. So when she did tell him,
Right.
that
And he does say near the end of the call, my two Desirees. A
Desiree.
lot of the commenters picked up on that and thought that was very emotional. And you read that, my two Desirees in his voice brilliantly. So that was moving. What a line, just few words like that. And that's one of the things I remember writing and being emotional when I wrote it. My two Desirees. And that name meant so much to him. He kept that name
Mhm.
all his life. That movie really got to him, Napoleon. He dressed up kind of Napoleonish in some of his shows.
Well,
And
exactly the whole when everybody out there listening pictures Napoleon, they're going to picture a man with a almost like an Elvis jumpsuit on.
yeah, exactly. That movie he saw with Lucy just stayed with him his whole life. And and it was Marlon Brando too, which I'm sure I mean,
He
he
was his favorite.
probably was a fan. I mean, his leather outfit was similar in the comeback special was similar to the Wild Bunch, Marlon Brando's movie Motorcycle Gang, taking over a small town. Did you ever see that movie, The Wild Bunch? Yeah, Marlon Brando was in the black leather, and that was what Elvis wore in the comeback special. So there's connections everywhere. All right, we're
His
almost at 2 hours, aren't we?
almost, yeah. His two favorite actors, Marlon Brando and James Dean. In a sense, he
Oh,
was in.
is that true?
Yes.
Oh, it
His
was Marlon Brando.
favorite-
Yeah, so that's why Desiree was so, that's why he put it in the poem. and you sang this. That's why your song's gonna go #1 if you ever get it out. Put
I
it
need
out. You and the rock star,
I need a
both of them.
backer
You'll
for
be on the country charts. He'll be on the rock and roll charts with the 2 songs from Are You Lonesome Tonight?
there you go.
Do that before I die. I'm getting old too now. I want to see that chart.
We have to vindicate Dary now, you know.
Yeah. Got to vindicate. Well, it's not even vindication. They're beautiful songs. And there could be so much publicity about it. I mean, that's what the rock star was so excited about because it would be the only song Elvis ever wrote from the hands of Elvis. Because I saw I think it was in your video that he really didn't like writing songs. He just kept pushing it off and telling Mac Davis and tell you write it, I'll sing it. You write it. He just didn't want to write songs.
So Elvis at his core was insecure. Firstly, at his core, he was insecure. You know, even when I was talking to Billy Stanley the other night, he said the same thing. Elvis really didn't think people would remember him. Elvis didn't think he was that big of a deal inside of his soul and his core.
Oh, yeah, he knew.
So when it comes to the songwriting part, Elvis knew he could sing, but at the same time, he always said, "I don't play guitar very good." He always downplayed that. I'm
Right.
a very good
He
singer.
didn't. He
But
didn't. He
truth
just
of-
strummed.
But in the truth of it, he was a phenomenal guitar player, and he was a phenomenal piano player. When you watch the comeback special, he's doing he's doing all the guitar stuff. And back in the 50s, when he was doing the Sun records, it was him doing the rhythm guitar in the records.
Ah.
Yeah, that's all right, Mama. And he was
I
doing.
think the guitar cramped his wild dancing, shaking style.
I don't know.
He didn't play a guitar in his Vegas show, did he?
He didn't need.
Those years.
He didn't need to because that music wasn't needed to play guitar. But the point I'm trying to make is that Elvis was a great guitar player. He was a great piano player. He could have been a great songwriter, but first off, he was already doing a lot. And he would have had to bare his soul to the world and be rejected if the songs weren't good enough. So why would you get rejection when you can have the best songs in the world in the 50s?
Exactly. Everybody was throwing their songs at him, and he could pick them. And he picked the ones that mean, like Kentucky Rain, which you did beautifully. You did it so well, I thought it was Elvis. And that's all about him looking for Lucy those 10 years. And he's so emotional. I think I told you Memories, he just sang that. It didn't seem that emotional, his voice, but Kentucky Rain, he was in pain. And you could hear it in his voice that he's just walking in the rain looking for somebody, and he never said who he was looking for. I knew who he was looking for. Lucy knows who he was looking for. That song tore her up. Beautiful song, but man, we can go on forever.
I know you got a party to get to, I think, don't you?
Yeah, I
Okay.
got people waiting for me.
So
I'm gonna cheer me on. They're watching these podcasts, and I'm big stuff again. I got to fight the women off with a stick now tonight, thanks to you.
People love you. People do love you.
Except for even the naysayers like me. Some of them have been nice, even after we're going back and forth. Well, I'm giving them attention. I'm respecting their opinion to a degree, dumb as their opinions are. I'm respecting it, but I don't want to negate the mystery of this because your channel is to get the mystery and to have people, I don't believe it, blah, blah, blah. But, so I don't want to be too tough on people.
No.
You know what I wanted to say before it ends? You read, very moving, the part about Lucy meeting me and how she didn't want some crusty journalist and then she and I just bonded and she got to love me and talked about my blue eyes and all that. Well, now maybe from reading that part, you can see why I'm so defensive and I fiercely defend her and Desiree because I made those promises to her in the early days. I made the promise, even if the people don't believe, don't worry, I'll take care of it. I'll sell the book in the publisher. I went to the publisher. She didn't. I went to New York. I'm the one who pitched it. I'm the one who told about it. I was like her John the Baptist. And that's why people should understand why 40 years later, after she's died, I'm still fiercely defending her because I made that promise. And she perfectly captured it. Well, I wrote it, but she perfectly captured our first meeting and how we bonded. She didn't want anything to do with me. She was going to blow me off. But I guess I charmed her. I'm good at charming, or I was when I was younger, so that worked.
Yeah, I mean, I also think you probably wanted to know the story and whether it was true or not. You're a journalist. You're curious,
Oh
and
yeah.
so I think
It
that
was
she.
a mystery. And you got to remember, Desiree was the talk of Hollywood for that time. There was a lot of buzz. I was a reporter covering Hollywood and all that at the time. And this was the biggest buzz I kept hearing. Elvis Presley's got another daughter and she's in Julio Iglesias. And I'm like, Elvis Presley's got another daughter and she's traveling with Julio Iglesias. I was crazy to get that story. And that's how it all became Are You Lonesome Tonight? It was originally just going to be a magazine article when I first thought of it, because I thought it would be like a one night stand, or it was the mom would have one chapter. And it turned out the mom had a whole tapestry of Elvis's life from before he was famous to the day he died. So many of the other books focus on just one aspect. I cooked for Elvis. I was Elvis's girlfriend for 2 years, all of that. The thing I loved about Are You Lonesome Tonight is we see Elvis before he was famous up to the day he died, and very few of the books have that total tapestry. And it's a loving portrayal of him. And even though Lucy was mad at him, I was fascinated to hear your reading of the book, how many times she ducked his calls. Imagine a woman ducking a call from Elvis Presley. People say she's her fantasy and she
No,
made it up. How would a woman duck his calls if she's a psycho making up a story? But
right,
she was mad at him like any woman would be when she found out he had another copy of her and moved in and was going to get married. That really hurt her. And so she's ducking his calls. So the kids were talking to him, I guess. Denise probably was, yeah, mom's ducking her calls, Elvis. But it's
right.
just fascinating, fascinating story. I'm glad you're bringing it back. I haven't thought about it. And, I had to overlay it like you. It's like you have one great song and then you write 50 others, and that's your first song. You kind of forgot all that time. Now it's all coming back to me. It's good for
Yeah,
my dementia.
ah, I
So
got you.
anyway, yeah, I've got people waiting for me. So
All right.
when are we doing it next week? Oh, I haven't seen your thing on Desiree. You
Just got released an hour ago. Uh,
okay?
it's called My Conversation with Desiree Presley, Part One. And of course, I'm not speaking around the channel, but I'm relaying some of the stuff we talked about. And
Yeah.
oh yeah,
And in typical DeBarbin fashion, there's things you can't say. There's things that are off the record. Yeah. And that's something. I mean, she wants to be recognized, but she's got her own secrets. She hasn't emailed me. Desiree, where's my emails? I'm asking. You gave me that great opening statements, and I haven't heard from her since. Was she mad at me?
no.
And you're
I,
no?
once again, there's been times, and I shared this in a video, that I didn't know how the conversation was going to go, because the first time I canceled on her because I wasn't feeling good. I was driving home. The second time she had some sort of procedure done. She was kind of sick, so she canceled on me. And then there was about a 3 week stretch in between where we kind of talked about talking. So, like you said, she doesn't really communicate
Wow.
very well sometimes, you know?
Yeah, that's so much like her mother.
Yeah,
So much like
she's
what I
busy,
went through
you
to
know?
try to get Lucy to do the book. We had so many phone calls and things that got canceled because she was terrified. But I got through it. Somehow I got through it. And boy, it's beautiful. The book, the way you read it was beautiful. Anyway, all right. So next week, same time, same channel or
All,
sooner.
all the
I can
stuff,
do it anytime.
all the stuff I didn't get to bring up because you got to go party.
Well, you want to do another hour? We've already done 2 hours. How much can the people take?
I'm gonna ask you one more question before we get off here. Just and this is gonna be a quick one. You'd
We
mentioned
can do tomorrow or earlier next week
we're
or
gonna
Sunday, whatever. But
we're
go
gonna
ahead.
I just had this up. Did you know that Larry Geller, who was Elvis's friend and spiritual advisor, did you know that
Yeah.
for Jay Sebring, who was murdered?
Yeah. And my Manson book.
Yeah, so you
Big
probably
part of my Charles Manson book. And I talked to Larry Geller. He's in my acknowledgments. I
oh,
acknowledged him.
good.
But yeah, go ahead.
That's it.
Oh, what about Larry Geller?
No, I was just kind of curious. I mean, if you obviously if you knew that if you talked to Larry,
Yeah, I talked to Larry.
I
He's
want
in the acknowledgments.
yeah. So I'm
Everybody I talked to, I just read the acknowledgments for the first time in 40 years. I got 100 people in the acknowledgments. There's 100 names. All the people in Monroe that I talked to saw Lucy and Elvis together. There's a whole paragraph of names of people, and I named every place. Alexandria, Monroe. It's in the beginning, not at the end, the acknowledgments,
I
after the preface.
I wonder if it's actually
Joe
in.
Esposito's in there, Larry Geller's in there, John O'Grady. I'm thinking John O'Grady, who says he faked Elvis's blood tests and probably the DNA.
Well, I'll
Yeah,
read that
that's
tomorrow.
just one page. There's like 3 pages.
I want to read it tomorrow
Look at that, of acknowledgments. Look at
I'll
all
read
the people,
for the next.
all the names, places, people all over. And and Larry Geller's in there, I think. He was okay. He wasn't a believer, but he was nice.
Which is interesting, and we don't want to get too far into this, but supposedly Deborah Presley says that Larry Geller helped her and believed her. Now, I haven't been able to talk to Larry to source that out. That's part of why I didn't mess around with Deborah because she was like, "Oh, he's busy. He doesn't want to talk to people. He's private." But regardless, that's something else we can read. I mean, we're not done talking about this story or looking into all of it. I mean, I appreciate you coming on here every week because you are passionate, and I always tell people, hey, Dary has lived this story for 40 years, and that's why he's defending it because he would never put it out if he didn't believe it was true, and that's my own feeling. You would never put it out if you weren't convinced it's true.
And that's what my editor told me just a couple hours ago. I asked her again, and she said I would have never edited this book or messed with it if I didn't believe it. And she hated Lucy and the way Lucy behaved and drove me crazy, drove us crazy when the book came, not giving up the tapes, saying, "Oh, Elvis misspelled a word. I can't that infuriated her." But
By
she
the
believed it.
way,
She
I've got
believed it, every word. My agent wanted to strangle Lucy so many times. My tough New York agent wanted to just wring Lucy's neck, but she believed the story.
I have pictures of the poem. By the way, I've got a video of the poem.
Yeah.
Just so you know, so I do have it. And I'm
Did
gonna.
you see the T?
Yes, I saw the T.
You saw the T?
Yes,
That's hard to copy.
I
And
know.
no one knew about it. No one knew about that T back then. I'm the
Yeah,
only one in the whole world who knew about that. You saw it now, right? I think it's his. I
I
think
have.
he's trying to do the T, taking care of business, his big symbol.
I'll send you what I have so you can take a look at it again because once again you kind of haven't seen it for years either, right? So I've
Yeah,
got.
it's up in my attic or somewhere, or a copy. Or,
Okay, well then
but
you.
I know I saw the graphologist reports, and they had the T next to the President Nixon letter T. They had them side by side. That sweeping. If people don't understand it, he just did sweeping
Yeah,
like almost a necklace. He could
yeah,
make a necklace out of
yeah.
that T, and he only did it. Did he do it once or twice in the poem?
I haven't
I'm
examined.
trying to remember.
I haven't examined it because it was on an old TV show. Somebody sent it to me. One of our subscribers sent it to me
Yeah.
of it, and so I've done a bunch of screenshots as the video is going by. So, but I did
And again, it's not every T.
no,
It's
it's
just when the spirit moved Elvis.
the same way. I write differently. You'll see one document and another it's completely
Yeah.
different.
Yeah. Well, the Elvis was on the plane all manic writing that letter fast to the president, but he threw that T in there in the middle of that 4-page letter. He threw that wily cross T. And then when he did Lucy's poem, there it is. Same T.
Well, we're not done. I'm going to keep doing videos all week long talking about certain things and documenting certain things. And we'll talk again next Friday.
Okay. And oh, and remember I asked the viewers if they want to do Quitting the Mob, Michael Franzese, or Taming the Beast, Charles Manson in the 60s. You and I do next. Because I think a lot of the commenters are from the generation hippie, Woodstock, all of that. So we'll see what people say.
Sounds good.
All right. Can I go dance now to classic rock?
You can't tell them I said
Billy
hello.
Idol and
Yep.
pour some sugar on me, baby, and all that.
Hey,
I'm gonna,
give us a dance move, Dary. Come on, give
yeah,
us
I'm not gonna, yeah, I'm gonna rock out tonight.
all
They're
right.
all waiting. I'm getting texts on the screen behind me from people. Where are you? We're here. Where are you? You
All right, I'm
know?
gonna hit stop. I'm gonna hit stop and you can go. Okay. So
All right.
see you next week.
We don't need to talk after. No after talk. Send me those clips of
I will.
Lucy's sister, and you have my email address. It's funny you said you didn't
I
have
know.
it. You are tired. Too much
Yeah,
Chinese food or whatever. You're
exactly.
too you have my email. All right.
I do.
I'm off.
See ya.
See you next week.